So I mentioned last week about how I'm always on the lookout for new music to listen to, and I made a recommendation of Anne Murray's newest release that you can, of course, get on Amazon. It was first let out on Friday of this past week, and I want to give you a look at why I only gave this an 8 out of 10, and that might have been a little bit generous. Because as you can see, I'm going to give you a look at the waveform that makes up this stereo recording. And the first thing that I want you to notice is the waveform itself and how it's completely filled up both channels, top to bottom. This is very bad recording, and I don't know if it's necessarily the recording or if it's a mastering, because you can see that it fills up the entire top, and it's got a flat top look across the top, which means that this has been peak limited and made it to be as loud as it possibly can. Now you will also notice the thickness of this waveform, meaning that it's also very, very, very compressed. Now on the bottom left of the screen here, you're going to be able to see the frequency response display, and there's plenty of high frequency content as you watch this. As you go to the right of this display, to the right are all the higher frequencies. Now, in the middle of the display, you're going to see the levels, and you're going to see in the yellow that there's only about 10 dB of dynamic range, which is pretty pathetic, because if you look at 16-bit recording, every bit is worth 6 dB of dynamic range. Top to bottom of this red display you see, there's 96 dB of dynamic range, and they've chosen to use almost none of it. Over on the right-hand side, you're going to see a vector display, that it's actually an XY display. And what you should actually see in the middle of that, and a very good stereo recording, is a round ball that almost looks like a ball of yarn. And what you're going to see here is that it's pretty much centered in the middle of the vector display, which means that they really haven't allowed for very much stereo activity, which is left and right channel activity. It's not really a ball. It pretty much stays fixed in the center. So overall, I probably was pretty generous in giving it an 8 out of 10. And now that I look at this, I would say that it's probably really about a 6 out of 10. Now, I haven't allowed any of the audio to sleep, to get into this, because I don't want to get a copyright strike. But I did want you to see this display, because as somebody who does a lot of recording like I do, I would never do something like this. So it's not to dismiss Anne's performance, which I think is very good, but it just shows you that in 2025, with all of the technology we have, we still have a lot of bad engineering going on.